Welcome to the it's not the June 6th, it's June 17th, 2024 meeting of the Economic Development Committee. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and state your name and city of residence. At this time, I ask that all electronic devices be placed in silent mode. I invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to please approach the podium, identify yourself by name and address, and identify the agenda item on which you wish to speak. Then you may speak for no more than 2 minutes.
Jacqueline Wetchey, Fitchburg resident. Over the past few years, even after a single tax rate was put in place, the percentage of taxes borne by residents has gone up. These TIEs will only make the situation worse. And 8 all at once? How many times have we been told in the past these will increase the percentage of taxes commercial properties pay down the road, and it never happens. This benefits rich out-of-town developers at the expense of ordinary residents and is regressive corporate welfare. Take the Ivor Johnson buildings that already got a bunch of federal to historic tax money and state money. Then the developers dumped the project when the taxpayer money ended, and the new owners now want more government pork barrel spending. Another concern is environmental. I attended the mayor's climate resiliency field trip recently and learned how bad our downtown filled with impervious surfaces is and how it worsens floods. We should use CBDG funds to tear down the derelict buildings and replace them with graveled lots that will help the environment, minimize climate-related disasters, and provide much-needed parking. With adequate parking, we wouldn't need a parking department that we lose money on. Please vote no on all these TIEs that sock it to the little guy. While we need housing, it is best handled through the private sector. Many of these taxpayer-subsidized projects do not meet the needs of Fitchburg residents. They are not affordable and draw in people from the eastern part of the state who commute to Greater Boston and bring their failed tax and spend ideology here, driving up our cost of living. They price themselves out of their existing homes by voting for high-tax politicians. Now they want to ruin our community with their gentrifying ways. We need to keep Fitchburg affordable for its existing residents who have nowhere else to go than a cardboard box. All the state money poured into housing has just created housing inflation for a struggling working class. Think of them for once and not the big developers.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else from the audience wish to speak? All right, just for a point of clarification, I was wrong on the date. Today is Tuesday, June 18th. And members present, we have Councillor Amy Green, Councillor Anthony Zarella, and myself, Andy Van Hazinga. So today we have several items on the agenda, and they all concern TIE agreements, tax increment exemption agreements, associated with the Housing Development Incentive Program district we have in downtown. So I'd like to invite our Community Development Coordinator, Liz Murphy, to just give us an explanation of the HDIP program and the TIE agreements, and they will apply to all of these items on our agenda. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Councillor Van Hazinga, Chair Van Hazinga. Let me give you a little background on the HDIP program and the TIE agreement. So the TIE agreements, which stands for Tax Increment Exemption, they are a partner piece to a program that was enacted by the state called HDIP, which stands for Housing Development Incentive Program. That is a tax credit program specifically for gateway cities to provide additional needed funding to create market rate housing. And the reason that gateway cities are able to enjoy this tax credit is because across the state, the cost of construction is generally equal or close to equal. It doesn't matter if you're constructing in Boston or in Fitchburg or in Springfield, the cost of construction is going to be close to the same. However, the rents that you can get as market rate rents are very different. What you can get in Fitchburg versus what you can get in Boston are not even close. Now, market rate rents are going up in Fitchburg as they are all across the state, but we find that when developers go to create market rate housing in this community and in other gateway cities, these folks, the amount of rent that they can collect on a monthly basis does not come close to, or close enough to covering the expenses of constructing the housing. So this incentive, which is a tax credit incentive of up to $2 million, can assist with the development becoming financially feasible by providing this incentive. And then those developers, they're either going to, if they have a large tax obligation, use the tax credits, or more likely sell those tax credits on the tax credit market at a certain amount on the dollar, I say 90 cents on the dollar, and then they use that money that they receive to actually fund the development. Now, part of the requirement of this state program is that any developer applying for an HDIP credit has to have a tax increment exemption agreement with the community they're developing in. So that's why we're here today, is that we have a number of agreements that we've negotiated and brought in front of you, and it's our understanding that there is going to be a round of HDIP applications that is coming out in July. So the applicants won't be able to apply unless these tie agreements are executed with the city.
Thank you very much. So can you give a little history on the funding for the tax credits? Because I know in recent years there hasn't been, what's that? There hasn't
Yes.
been money available, but
There has
things have
not.
changed a little bit.
Correct. So Fitchburg had only just in the last, say, round of available funding, we actually enjoyed our first HDIP project in the community. That was a 7-unit project on Crescent Street. And prior to that, we had had no HDIP applications, but other communities had taken advantage of the HDIP program, and it was so successful that they ran out of money. So then they had a backlog, and they had no money to, or no credits to give out, but quite a few developers. So after much advocacy on different parties' parts and the legislature coming together, they were able to fund a large chunk, I believe it was $50 million, for catching up with the applications that have been backlogged in the queue, and then $30 million a year going forward, which means that when you have 20, how many gateway cities are there? 26 communities that could apply for HDIP, or developers in those communities. It makes it very competitive. Now, my understanding is that only 22 of those communities actually have HDIP zones, which is another piece of the puzzle. We did develop an HDIP zone, which is a requirement. So the HDIP zone is downtown and River Street. So these are the areas where we're encouraging market rate housing because we know we already have a lot of affordable housing concentrated in our downtown. We still need affordable housing, absolutely, in other parts of the community. But we want to encourage more market rate housing in our downtown and on River Street, where we have quite a bit of commercial business, and we need those consumers to be living there.
Can we just talk about the tie agreements real quick?
Yeah.
So what they do is they're tax increment exemptions.
Yes.
So do they eliminate property taxes for a property altogether?
No, they don't. What they do is they set a baseline. So the baseline is whatever that property is currently assessed at today. Mm-hmm. So that becomes the baseline. And actually, let me go a step further. It's the to-be residential portion of the current assessed value. That is what we're looking at the baseline. Any commercial portion is not really considered in the tie agreement. It's excluded from it. So what happens is, say we say we're going to have a 5-year tie agreement, and it's going to be 50% of an exemption over that 5 years. Then, or for every year over that 5 years, then what that means is that we will realize the 50% of the growth once the property is developed, and we're deferring, well, deferring isn't really the right word, we're excluding the other 50% of the growth. So instead of capturing 100% of the growth and being able to tax that growth, it's only 50% that we're taxing. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I'm being really
Yeah, I think so. So normally if someone improves a property, there's an improvement, and then the assessment on the property increases.
Increases.
A greater share in taxes.
Right.
With a tie agreement, the increase to just the residential portion of a property is sort of delayed.
Correct.
And
Right.
that can vary according to the specific agreement.
Right.
But, so the property taxes, if the commercial becomes more valuable, the taxes on that portion go up.
Correct.
The taxes on the residential portion, they don't go down, they just don't
Stay.
go up for a delay.
Correct.
According to the agreement. Now, before we get into the specific projects, does anybody have any questions or comments that they wanted just on the general HDIP program and tie agreement? So, yes, Councilor Green.
My question, Ms. Murphy, when you had mentioned that rents collected versus, you had made a comment about the rents collected under these agreements would be far less than, in our community, than, say, Boston. But aren't we seeing a difference in that now? And I guess my question is, under these agreements, are their hands tied on the rents they can collect versus the rents they receive? Like if you wanted to rent your property for $3,000 a month and you could get $3,000 a month, do these agreements limit what the cap on rent could be on market rate, on these market rate housing?
No, it does not cap what they can collect and rent. But going back to the comparison, say, to Boston, our rents are definitely increasing, but Boston's are increasing just as much. So, we might be able to achieve for a very high-quality unit, a two-bedroom, we might be able to get $2,000 at market rate in this kind of a scenario, but Boston can probably still get $4,000.
All right, let's use a community closer, let's say Lowell.
Yeah.
Or Chicopee. So if I'm a property owner.
Yeah.
If I decided that my two-bedroom, two-bath unit, I wanted to put up for rent and collect $4,000 a month, I mean, maybe there's an appetite for it, maybe there isn't.
Right.
So does that hold true with these agreements as well?
So if I understand you,
Just to
that
interject, the agreements are only for the property taxes that we charge
Right.
for property. One of the requirements is they have to be at least 80% market rate, which means that there's no restriction.
Right.
This doesn't have anything to do with what the rents they can charge, other than they have to be market rate developments versus affordable or low-income developments.
All right, and market rate based on current market or projected market when the project's going to be done and it's filled with waiting list?
it could be either. Honestly, they could say, right now, I think I'm going to charge $1,400, but then they construct it and they realize the market has even moved up a little bit. Well, now I'm going to charge $1,700, even though I thought I was going to charge $1,400. So their hands are not tied when it comes to the rents that they can collect. What their hands are tied on is that they can't have more than 20% of their units be a restricted affordable housing. So, and they could have 20%. So, and when we say affordable housing, we really mean an affordable housing subsidy that comes in and then deed restricts that unit, and then the tenant that moves in has to income qualify and provide all this documentation.
And all of these properties have that, at least 20% of all of these properties are going to be.
They could be. They don't have to be. So I believe right now in this scenario, there's only one that is proposing to have 20% of their units be affordable, and that's the first one on the list.
So we have 7 properties that are going to be at least all market rate rent.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Zarella.
So just to make sure I'm getting everything straight. So market rate is not actually a requirement. It just means not participating in any restricted subsidy program. So you could have a market rate unit that you in fact rent out for $200 if you wanted to, or you could set the rent at $10,000 and watch as no one rents it.
Yes.
But basically, when we say it has to be at least 80% market rate, that doesn't actually set any requirement on what they can or must rent it for.
Absolutely correct, yes. And the
And-
rents are listed in the tie agreements, but really only for informational purposes, not for, what really was required in the agreements is the number of market rate units, not the actual rent. We just put it in
Right.
there.
So as long as at least 80% of the units are not participating in any subsidized housing program, they qualify
Correct.
under that provision at least.
Yes.
And the idea behind the tax increment exemption, as I'm understanding it, is basically to prevent them from having, I guess you could think of it as a financing cliff, where they go from, okay, the property taxes are X, now all of a sudden, after we've just spent all this money improving it, now the property taxes are 5 times X. Instead, we say, all right, well, first time around, you use 50% as an example. That would mean first time around, the property taxes are 2.5 times X instead of 5 times X. And then once the agreement expires, we start collecting the full value, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the benefit, the developers are in the project is seeing a benefit by doing that, but the state also wants us to have skin in the game. So that's why we have to have some level of tie agreement.
Right. And despite that, though, it doesn't actually cost us anything, right? If we compare having this tie agreement and getting, the 50% increased tax revenue, as opposed to rejecting the tie agreement, having the project not go in and just continuing to collect the existing tax revenue, we're actually still making money on this.
Yes.
We're not paying anything out of pocket or reducing our revenues in any way for the benefit of these developers.
That is correct. And I mean, you could look at it another way: is if nothing happens to these buildings, the city is paying a cost to have
Right.
vacant property sit there.
So basically, it's one of those scenarios where you can't compare the property as the developed property with the tie agreement to the developed property without the tie agreement, because there is no scenario where we have the developed property without the tie agreement.
Correct.
You're comparing a real thing to an imaginary thing. All right, thank you. I think I understand.
So I guess it's also worthwhile noting that we do collect building permit fees on any development. The assessment will go up after the period of the tie agreement, so that we will realize higher property taxes. It isn't forever, it's only for a defined period of time.
That is correct.
Councilor Green?
Yes. How was the mechanism that these properties and/or developers came together and said, okay, I'm going to use the property on River Street because I'm more familiar with that and the amount of work that needs to be done there. So was that not going to be developed without the tie agreements in place?
Correct. That project, without this additional funding, would not be able to come to fruition. Yeah. And I do believe, unless I'm wrong, those developers may be virtual. I'm not sure if we have anyone virtually.
All right.
Okay, so again, we had no way of marketing and/or selling this property to any developer without the enticement of that agreement.
Well, we didn't own the property, so we couldn't sell it. But yes, unless some other resource came into existence that could provide the same sort of benefit to those developers, right now, especially right now with interest rates being 8%, there's not a lot of market rate large-scale development, especially in our existing buildings where adaptive reuse is happening. It's just not feasible at this interest rate. It's a little bit frustrating because as post-pandemic, we saw the rents go up, which is both a plus and a minus for the community as a whole, but then those interest rates went up just along with it. And so every gain that we had in the market rental area, we lost through the increases in construction and the increases in the interest rate. So we're sort of stuck in the same place that we were before the pandemic, even though our rents are much higher than they were pre-pandemic.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I guess we can move on to the first agenda item, which is 280 to 288 Main Street, more commonly known as the Santander Building.
Yes.
At the Water Street Bridge.
Yes.
Mind just giving a quick description of what's being proposed and what the proposed tie agreement is?
Correct. That is, it's 35 units, of which 6 are affordable, so that makes 29 market rate units. They're proposing rents of $1,400, $1,700, and $1,950, so that's studios, 1 bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms. And they're asking for a 5-year tie agreement at 100%. This was a project that was going to be then connected with the Dickinson building at 329, I think, Main Street. That property owner just recently received a better offer, so that developer is unable to go forward with the Dickinson building because he no longer has the best offer for that. But I'm sorry, I'm a little bit digressing from 280 to 288 Main Street, but yes. So 5 years, 100%, 35 units.
And how does this compare to the previous tie agreements that we've reached, like for Blossom Street or for up the street on Main Street?
This is a little bit higher. I believe the 2 other agreements that we've had were somewhere along the lines as what we're proposing for a couple of them today, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Manny. Yeah. Because you're the, yeah. Because I think that it was similar to 633 Main, which is here. It's in front of us today, which is 100% for 3 years, and then 75% for the next year, and then 50%, and then it ends. So 5 years of 3 years, 100%, and then stepping down by 25% each year after that. As far as
mine's a step 2, but Street project was a step. I would have to look up what it was.
I believe it was the same as this. And I can certainly confirm that information. I just don't have it with me.
Councilor Green.
My question, our packet says that there's, is that 80 units as the combined, the three?
It was.
280 to 288 and 326 to 344, but now that one of those is on or off the table?
Correct. So the 280 to 288 has 35 units. The next one, 326 to 344, was going to have 45 units. So, but that one's off the table, so now it goes back to just the 35 units, and that's why it's going from 80 to 35. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we've got 35 units.
Yes.
29 of those units are going to be at market rate.
Correct.
And they're asking for a 5-year tie agreement.
Correct.
And who is the developer of that?
It's CMK Development. Jerry Kavanaugh is the principal. He was not.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Sorry, it's CMK Development, and Jerry Kavanaugh is the principal. So he was not able to attend today, but he did email me to let me know that they are, while they're still negotiating an agreement with the final agreement with the owner of 280 to 288 Main Street, we very much look forward to working with the city on this important renovation project for downtown Fitchburg. It is clear, though, that there will be a need for a tie agreement for this project to be able to move forward. In fact, an executed tie agreement may allow us to move forward more quickly. Thank you for your consideration.
And with that project, that building is what, is there, how many stories or how many floors are on that building?
I have to think about that. I think it's...
Is it 5 or 6?
I don't think it's 6. I think it
The
must-
first floor is commercial.
the first floor is commercial.
And are they going to, I'm sorry, I still have the floor, right? I don't, okay. Are they going to develop it as commercial? Or is this strictly just for the residential?
The first floor will be developed as commercial, and then the residential above.
And parking for that property, at one point, there was a garage mentioned with an a pedestrian walkway. So I remember that talk.
Interestingly enough, almost all, not all, but close to all of the parking that's on the backside of Boulder Drive that abuts Riverfront Park belongs to that property. So the parking that's directly across the street from the Santander building, that all belongs to that property. And then half of that giant parking lot in front of Riverfront Park belongs to that property. So they have ample, they could probably do 3 parking spots for every unit, especially now that it's only 35 units. So they have ample parking. They don't even need the public parking garage to make their parking work.
All right. We say ample now because, when we have duck race or a music concert there, those parking lots fill up.
But we enjoy the benefit of having an out-of-state property owner for those parking lots. We are not entitled to that parking. That is just privately owned.
Right. So,
Right.
I think it's wonderful that we've got 35 units and a commercial space being developed. I think it's wonderful that there's already parking in place, but I don't want to get too excited when my peeps want to show up for something at Riverfront Park, and now it's like, oops, sorry, no parking. We've got options.
Yes,
We've
we do.
got options. So,
yes.
where is Mr. Kavanaugh, or where is CMK located?
Off the top of my, I have the agreement in, let's see, they are in New Bedford. Just neither here nor there, but Jerry Kavanaugh was an aide to Senator Kennedy at one point in time. I believe he might have been chief of staff to Senator Kennedy back in the day.
Okay. Right.
So he's been around for a while.
I just like to have a little background on who's coming in and what they're doing, and if they choose to play nice with us, then we play nice with them, and perhaps maybe further develop down the road. So I like to know who the players are.
Yeah. So far, he's been very easy to work with.
Okay. Good. Thank you. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Any other questions? Would anyone care to make a motion in terms of the agreement?
Are we doing each of these individually, or are we taking them all?
We're taking them they're separate agreements, we're
Okay.
going to take them individually.
I'll make a motion that we approve the tie agreement for 280 to 288 Main Street.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's unanimous.
So the next item on the agenda, 326 to 344 Main Street, I am withdrawing that tie agreement. So we're not going to go forward with that one.
Motion to give leave to withdraw, or recommend leave to withdraw.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Now, the third item, 329 to 335 Main Street.
Yes, that is the property that Tiki Tiki is in, Red House Irons. Vacant upper stories. There was a small staffing agency called Snelling Staffing in one of the small units. So it's 3 commercial units on the first floor, and then they are proposing 8 units in the upper floors. So that's 2 stories above the commercial?
It's 1 full story and then half of a second story.
Yes.
In terms of residential, sorry, above the.
Councilor Green?
8 units, are those one and one bedroom, 1 bath? Because that's a small space.
Yeah. So what do we have here? I have it listed on the second page. 8 units, 5 are 1 bedrooms, and 3 are studios. The let's see. The tie agreement that is proposed there is 3 years of 100%, 1 year of 75%, 1 year of 50%, and then it ends. So it's a 5-year agreement. The rents that this developer is proposing is $1,100 for the studio units and $1,200 for the one-bedroom units. But like I said, they can decide what the rent is ultimately when they develop it and what they're going to charge for it.
And is it P Props? Who
Yep.
and who and where?
Props. We have that developer here in the room. That is, would you say a subsidiary of Pelletier Properties? A subsidiary of Pelletier Properties.
Okay. All right. And all market rate?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And with the commercial being on the first floor, we will enjoy any appreciation in value of the commercial property, even though we're deferring the added value of the rehabbed rental units.
So this is a slightly lower tie than the first property we talked about. Is the idea that that first one was a bigger property, harder to do, more transformative effect, so we're willing to go a little farther to help that one out to make it more feasible. This one is a little more smaller scale, a little easier. It has existing commercial tenants. Doesn't need quite as much help.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Councilor Zavarlo.
I was actually just going to ask about the market rate. It was already answered.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So that one is recommended for approval as well. So now we have 347 to 355 Main Street.
Okay, that is Watch Us Grow development, and that is owned by, I'm not sure if you're aware of Paul Tashi, who's a developer, local developer. So that one, very similar. I have too many papers here. I lost track of my sheet. Okay. So very similar, 5 years, 3 years at 100%, 1 year at 75%, 1 year at 50%, and then it ends. They're proposing 8 units, $1,350 for the 1 bedrooms, $1,700 for the 2 bedrooms, and it is 4 and 4, 4 1 bedrooms, 4 2 bedrooms.
Do any councilors have any questions? Councilor Zavarlo?
I'm sorry, I was writing something. Did you say these are also all market rate?
All market rate, yes.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
In favor.
Favor. All right, it's unanimous. So now we have 633 to 639 Main Street.
So that is Prime Real Estate Investment. They are the same developer as 759 Main Street. Very similar. Very similar outline of, and I've lost my page. Let's see.
So it looks like, I pulled some information, there's 16 units actually approved by the planning board. They're ready for development.
Yes.
Including
here we go.
ones, twos, and studio. Or I thought they were all twos, right?
There are 14 of them are 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and then 2 of them are 1 bedroom.
Right. So 14 for the record. 14 bedrooms, 14 2 bedrooms, 2 1 bedrooms. This in a similar fashion. It's a 5-year tie, 100, 100, 100, then 75, then 50. They are proposing $1,300 for their 1-bedroom rents, $1,850 for their 2-bedroom rents. They do have commercial on the first floor, so we will continue to enjoy any appreciation there. And they are all market rate units, no affordable units.
Councilor Green?
And that developer is who?
Prime Real Estate Investments. It's Rosario, Nakotra, and Manny. Yeah.
And is that the Rise and Grind property? Or is it the one next to it?
One next to it. It's the one with the gallery 639. No.
Design at 639.
Yep,
Okay,
that's the already developed one,
okay, right, and,
right over there.
okay,
Had the family dental in it.
okay.
Yep.
Is that commercial business staying?
They left a few years ago,
Okay,
unfortunately.
okay, but that first floor will be commercial space?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's recommended for approval. And now we have the 3 remaining ones are part of one development of the
Correct.
former Ivor Johnson Mills at 87 to 91 River Street.
Correct. So that is 3 buildings, so hence 3 agreements, because the tie agreements have to be for each property. They are a slightly longer term. It's 5 years at 100% and then 5 years at 50%. That is entirely residential. There is no commercial in there. They just recently increased the number of units. They reworked and increased the number of units. So they now have, I believe, what was that, 96 units
Total or per building?
altogether. So if I did my math correctly, might be off by 36. So it's 26 units in 87 River Street, 36 units in 89 River Street, and then 36 units in 91 River Street. They are proposing rents of $1,800 for studios, $2,400 for one bedrooms. Oh, excuse me, $2,150 for one bedrooms and $2,400 for 2 bedrooms. And that is the IBJ Group is the developer. So that is a partnership. They are an LLC. And I believe they are here virtually.
All right, so we have Mr., I have trouble reading it. Is it Darche?
Richard Darche.
Darche.
Yeah.
If you would like to let him speak, if you would like to add any statement.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. My name is Rich Darche. I am one of 4 partners that has been working for the last 5 years and trying to renovate and bring new housing apartments to the market. A couple of things I just want to make you aware of. When we first started this project back in 2018 and we ran our original budget, it was approximately $18 million. And the interest rates at that time were about 4%. The latest budget that we went through with our builder, our general contractor, has moved it up to close to $30 million. And we're dealing with interest rates that were 4% now at 8%. So it's a very challenging property to develop here, and we are dead set on making sure it happens. But we do need a good amount of help. And we had a meeting with the mayor and with Liz and with a number of the city folks here about a couple months ago, explaining our position and why we needed a little bit more help on the tie agreement. And we basically need a little bit longer tie agreement because it helps us leverage-wise if we have a 10-year agreement on our loan, our ability to increase the loan amount on the construction and the permanent financing. It goes to about $2.4 million versus $1.2 million if we were looking at 5 years. And believe me, we are very, very focused on making sure this happens. I heard the initial lady that spoke earlier today, and she talked about new owners at IBJ. We're the owners that originally started in 2018. We've been through COVID and issues with the floodplain and a lot of challenges with this property. And we've also met with potential partner developers and everyone looking at the numbers saying, you know, this doesn't make any sense for us. I mean, the latest one was Wind Development, who was very interested in the project. We thought we were going to put something together with them, and they came back and says it's too expensive. So as Liz mentioned early on in the discussion here, you know, we have construction costs similar to what it costs to build in Boston, but our rents are 50% less. And this current environment with the higher interest rates and increased costs, and I just want to take a second to read you an article. This came in the Wall Street Journal on June 5th. And I'll just take out two quick sections. During the biggest apartment construction boom in decades, more developers can't make the numbers work to get started on projects or can't get the money to complete them. Higher rates, tighter lending conditions, and flattening rents in parts of the country have caused all kinds of issues for these developers. And they actually also went into Worcester, Massachusetts, in part of the article. About a dozen apartment projects with more than 2,000 units are delayed, according to a May report from the city's Economic Development Department. So we're challenged and we need help here, and that's the reason we're looking for a little bit more on the tie agreement than most folks. We, as Liz mentioned, we have 96 apartments. We just increased the quantity to make the numbers work for the lending institutions because the ratios didn't work at the old numbers with the cost of construction. So I've been talking a lot. I'm ready for any questions anybody has.
Councilor Green?
Yes. Thank you for your diligence and I guess your vitality to want to see this project through. I think it was before COVID, so that had to be 18, 19, where we actually toured as the buildings were in their current condition. They were a mess. I do remember doing that walkthrough, so I appreciate the tenacity of them wanting to see this through fruition. What and how will you, when these are done, how long do you think it's going to take, if this comes into an agreement, how long do you think it will take to execute, and I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that this will be a phased project, or what is your timeline on completion to get people in renting in this property?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We're looking at trying to do this in one project. If you go into phases, it gets more expensive, and we're trying to keep the cost down. So our goal right now is to do the entire project, and we're hoping to start in the end of the first quarter of 25. As far as timing goes, and the big issue that we have and the help we need with the tie agreement is that to monetize the tax credits will take a while here. It's 5 years on the federal. The state is quicker here, but we're estimating that it's going to take, probably 5 to 7 to 10 years to monetize fully the tax credits. So we're looking at a considerable amount of debt to start out with. We need the help because of the leverage that the longer tie agreement gives us to get to the amount of construction financing we need to make this project work.
So in your forecast of the rents that were described, how long will it take you before you actually start being able to see a profit from a $30 million investment?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're looking at 3 to 4 years after stabilization to have a profit.
That's pretty good. I think that's a great return on investment. For that big of a project to have a return in 3 or 4 years of profit.
It's also a very risky investment because we're not large developers as some of the people might think, and we have to put our entire equity in the equity that we all have on the line here. We have to guarantee these loans here. So if something doesn't go well, we're all at risk of losing everything that we have, and we're not like the people at Wind Development.
And where are the majority of your projects in the past been focused?
My son and I have been working in New Jersey here, so we've basically done industrial and commercial real estate. We are looking right now, and then the other partners, one of our partners that used to be managing all of the real estate for Aubuchon Hardware. Another partner is a financial guy that helps us, Aldo Mazzaferro, who has really helped out putting the spreadsheets together. And then we have a CPA. So that's the 4 of us here, actually 5 of my son. But we haven't had this kind of experience. So I think we've mentioned that we're in the market right now. We're talking to 3 potential developers to joining us in this project here to bring the expertise for this kind of project. because we haven't done things like this before.
All right, thank you.
Councilor or Director Murphy, you had something quickly to...
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that when Mr. Darche was talking about the the federal tax credits and that length of time, he also has historic tax credits in the mix here, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, historic state and federal National Park Service and MHC. Yes, correct, Liz. We're all market rates, so we're not going for low income credits.
Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you for investing in Fitchburg, especially if you are, putting a lot of personal financing on the line. I see it as an incredibly positive and encouraging sign that you're willing to take such a big leap from commercial industrial into residential for the first time, and with so much personal finance on the line in the city, here in the city of Fitchburg. I believe that much in Fitchburg, but it means a lot to me that someone else does as well.
Thank you. And we're very confident once our project is done, it'll be like a domino effect, and it'll go from west to east here. We see a lot of things happening once we can get those old buildings back up to their old grandeur.
Well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. I do have to ask, Director Murphy, while obviously I hope it doesn't ever become relevant, but just because the possibility has been raised, does the tie agreement run with the land, or is it specific to the owner? In other words, if, God forbid, the project fell through and they did have to sell the property on, would we have the opportunity to renegotiate a tie agreement or not with a future owner, or would we be bound to these current terms?
That is an excellent question. I'd like to think that I'd like to think I know the answer, but I couldn't tell you 100%, and I'd want to check with legal. But I do believe that since the agreement is with this entity for this property, we would have the ability to negotiate a new tie agreement with any subsequent developer that bought out the project.
Okay, thank you. That makes perfect sense. And like I said, I'm certainly not planning for failure. I just like to have all my bases covered. I think this is going to go great, but I want to have an answer for anyone who asks me what happens if it doesn't. So that's all from me.
Councillor Cragen.
Sure. Mr. Darche, I was struck by your comment about development from west to east. Do you mean River Street West, or do you mean Western Massachusetts?
No, we're talking about just localizing at River Street. We have Kelly Wood Products that are behind us. There's Boardman Automotive right to the east of us. There's another couple of buildings behind us. We've had productive discussions with John and Mike Kelly about potentially coming into the project here, because that would really add a lot. We could landscape to the river, pick up potentially some more apartments, and continue to beautify the area. So it really, down the road, we believe once we're done, the rest of the properties will also end up being developed and continue the trend that I think we're going to start on River Street.
Thank you very much for doing this. My family for many years owned 320 River Street, which is further along. It's the building right after the railroad bridge. And it is so close to Route 2 from River Street in that part. I'm very excited about this. So thank you. Yield the floor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I'm excited about this project as well, as I have been for some time, as it's been worked on. And it's taken a lot of work to get to this point. My only concern is the length of the tie. This is twice as long as the other properties. I think when communities enter into tie agreements that are too long, it has the potential to backfire because there are costs. I mean, these are mostly one-bedroom units, but there are a small number of twos, which may have school children. I mean, that's always a concern of overburdened school system without compensating revenue. But looking at this is the most difficult property to get done. These are the biggest development, biggest buildings in the worst condition, the most some of the most visible buildings, and I've looked over the pro forma provided by the developer, and it is very tight to get this done, and they are scraping for every penny they can to make this feasible to do. And I think there will be a big benefit. I think the Yarnworks development across the river from there that Wynn did came out fantastic. It's a wonderful property, and this has the potential to be just as good, but just in a much more visible location right across from Crocker Field. So
one interjection is we ended up spending close to $650,000 to environmentally clean the property, which we didn't realize what kind of hole we were going to get into on that. So that set us back right out of the gate. But we have a property that's got no use limitations with a permanent solution, which we're very pleased about.
And it's also worth knowing that alternative uses of these properties are very limited. These are not viable industrial properties. They're not viable commercial properties. It's either let them burn down and neglect them and let them burn down, or to redevelop them and to really make an investment.
Right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And just for clarification, was that for all three? Or just?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
if that's
So
good.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
All right, so we approve.
Thank you very much to the council members, and everyone involved. We really appreciate the support.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand adjourned, and is there an appointment?
There's not.
I don't believe so, no.
So we'll have the city council meeting at 7 o'clock this evening. Thank you very much.